Okay, well, I just want to wish everyone a happy new year. I realise we're almost at the end of January actually as I'm filming this, but I hope everyone's had a restful break, and I'm conscious that not everyone's back to work on the 6th or whenever the new year started. So what I thought I'd do, and I've left it till now to make sure everyone is back, is do a bit of a video, and I asked Bill to come along and hit me with some questions on last year and what we're going to do for this year. He's refused to be on camera, but that's okay. So we will kick it off and see how we go.
Okay, kicking off 2020, but looking back over the last year, how do you think last year went from SiteSafe's perspective and also that of the industry in general?
Yeah, look, obviously it was my first year in the job as CE. It was a challenging year for the industry, as you know. Some key players went under, and we had a few events culminating in the Sky City fire, which obviously all that stuff puts pressure on the industry. But I think for SiteSafe we had a good year. So the focus at the start of the year was recrafting our identity a little bit. Trying to move beyond just being seen as a training organisation, getting more media profile, so certainly externally, becoming part of the conversation, and we did that through getting a seat on the Chazan's board. We had a number of high profile events that occurred, one of which was the launch of our suicide research, which garnered really good media attention and also was praised by the industry, and it's the stuff that you leverage off to become more credible and an authoritative voice. If you're going to say you're a leadership organisation, then you need to show leadership, and that goes beyond just delivering training courses, which are obviously very important for us, but you need to be seen to be that voice for people to give you the mandate to speak on behalf of the industry, and I think we've moved some way towards getting that, I think.
So, what are the key issues for SiteSafe for this year?
Well, I think it's continuing part to build on what we did last year. So last year we've done a number of things, and when you're in the thick of it, sometimes you can't see the wood for the trees. But I banged out an email late last year, just reflecting back on last year, and we've done some significant things. We've kicked off some major projects. Our audit offering was one of them, and that will roll through into a launch this year. And it's really a move from talking about just what we do in terms of, we deliver training or we deliver audits or we do a bit of consultancy, to actually looking at that as a complete package and saying, and answering the why question. Why do business with us? And the why question for me is along the lines of, we care about helping you get your people home safe at the end of the day.
So for you, what were some of the highlights from last year?
I think there were a number. I think we did a lot of work, and this is not often seen internally, around raising our media profile. And to be seen as credible and authoritative and all that, and the voice of the industry, you really have to step up and engage with the media. And at the beginning of the year, we went to the media, and work that Lisa and you did on that was really good, because what we said to the media was, if you want a comment or discussion on health and safety, then SiteSafe's the agency you should be coming to, and they've started doing that, and our media profile went up significantly, and I think that builds your brand, because unless you build your brand and credibility in the marketplace and visibility in the marketplace, then it's a real struggle to step up out of the blue and go, look, we speak on behalf of the industry, and when people don't really know who you are, what you stand for. So I think we did that really well. We've obviously increased our presence in the country. We've opened a new Dunedin office. We already had one, but this one's a lot better. We've increased presence in Hamilton. We've done a lot more work with the industry through Chazan's. We did our suicide research, which got real good media attention, but also attention from the industry, and we need to follow up on that in terms of mental health and well-being. The other stuff that we delivered on in the past year has been the Triple SP. We've talked about revising that for years. Last year we got it done, and the highlight for me with that was working with an industry working party. Had its frustrations because you end up with availability, people have day jobs, but I think the benefits of it is it brought the industry along on the journey, so that when we've produced the Triple SP, it's not seen as the SiteSafe Triple SP, it's seen as industry's Triple SP, which SiteSafe facilitated the construction of, which is really important, because then they own it. So I think that was really good. And the other thing I'm quite proud of is the inroads we've made through SiteWise and the change in our constitution. So the change in the constitution flew under the radar, but under the old constitution, our rules blocked us very much into construction. We revised that this year, which allows us to broaden our focus a little bit more beyond construction. I don't mean we're going to jump into agriculture or other areas, but there are areas that are close to construction, like facilities management and others, where we can build our business resilience by moving into those areas and starting to look at how we provide training and services into those sectors that help us. And one of the engines for that has been SiteWise. So SiteWise has grown really strongly in the last year, and it's great work from the team that foster that work. But we've got companies like PGG Wrightson's from agriculture. We even had approaches from McDonald's coming on board. So it's broadening beyond construction, and we can leverage off that into other sectors that we're selectively choosing, which is a really good potential.
What's impressed you the most about SiteSafe? What are its strengths that you've found?
Our strengths are people and their passion and commitment, and that shows up really strongly in our engagement surveys. That shows that our people are really engaged with our mission. They like coming to work because they come to work to keep people safer, and that's a good thing to do. You're not just coming to clip the ticket or feather some shareholder's pocket or sell widgets. So I think that is important to people. So I think that is our strongest resource, and but it's also important that we're close to the industry as well. That we'll listen to them. We're an industry association. We're not a profit-making training business. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but that's not us. And that allows us to do things with industry as an association that don't necessarily increase our bottom line, but build credibility and support of our members and the industry at large. And I like that. I think that's good. It's one of the reasons why I joined the organisation. And I think the challenge for us going forward is to stay relevant. We've talked a lot this last year. Certainly I have tested people in the organisation with what is our value proposition. Why us? Why should we engage with SiteSafe over somebody else? And we need to be quite clear about that and continue to build on that, because I think to grow as a business, and I'm not talking about necessarily revenue growth, I'm talking about impact growth. So we need to be seen as relevant, and we need to have a good value proposition for the sector.
All right, so you've talked a bit about advocacy and profile of SiteSafe, but its bread and butter work is training. What's happening in that area that you want to talk about?
Well, quite a bit. I think you're right. I mean, training and our products and services in general are very important to us and the members. So, let's be honest, training is almost 3/4 of our revenue. So it's really important that we continue to develop leading edge training courses that are seen as high value to the industry and actually make a difference. So last year we made the decision that we wouldn't run off and develop a whole lot of new collateral, that we really market test what we were going to develop to ensure there was a need for it within the sector, and that would be supported. But we looked at more intently on when we were working on our training was developing, refreshing and enhancing the courses that we already had. So obviously we worked on Passport Plus last year. We did launch an investigators course, but we worked on the Passport Plus, and just before Christmas we started rollout of the review of the Passport Civil and vertical building construction courses, building construction and civil. They're really hugely important because although some people say, well, they're just the low-level courses, the reality is they bring in 2/3 of our income, and we actually need to sort of work on changing that, to be quite honest. But they are hugely important because they are our shop front window, and they need to be seen as relevant to the sector. So what we did just before December, we got industry in, we talked to the big players and we talked to subcontractors and really asked them, what are you wanting from foundational training? So it's not just SiteSafe telling them what they should be doing, but actually listening to their input. And we're going to adopt a similar approach than we did with the SSSP. We're going to have a working party of industry that, as we look to redevelop both of those courses, we're going to work alongside them. So at the end of the day, when we finally roll them out in the middle of this year, that we have strong industry buy-in. and also that the way we present the course and undertake those courses is leading edge in the industry, and we need to be onto that all the time.
There's going to be huge growth in the industry in the next 12 months starting, apparently, with all the infrastructure jobs. What role will SiteSafe play in that?
Yeah, I think we need to we do have a big place in the industry, but let's be honest, it's predominantly in the vertical sector. I had a lot of discussions with civil sector leaders last year about re-establishing a presence within the civil market, and in the residential space, that's always been a struggle because residential builders aren't hugely influenced by supply chains. A lot of them just work for the homeowner. So they're always going to be a challenge, and we do have to think about what is of value to them. I think one of the real opportunities for us is how we market ourselves as an association and a business and add value. And I mentioned assurance before, and I think everything is about assurance that we do. What we essentially do as a business is help give businesses better assurance that they're managing the risks well that they're creating in their day-to-day work. And the way we do that is through training, it's through effective auditing services, it's through consulting, and it is a bit about the advocacy stuff as well. But moving away from just being, we do training or we do audit, and actually saying, look, we add value to the industry by giving you greater assurance that you're managing your risks well. That's what people want to hear. That's what business leaders have told me they want to hear. They want to know when we do audits as part of assurance that it's targeting their critical risks. And they want to see high value. They want to see high quality audit reports. They want to see audits that are targeted to the things that matter, that are going to cause their people injury or the injure people who are working with their teams. And in an environment today where you have multiple PCU duties on quite complex site, that's hugely important. The old linear supply chain contracting lines are gone, and the new legislation really necessitates, particularly principal contractors and even clients, being assured that things are being managed well. So, and I think there's a huge opportunity for us to push into that area and give that assurance.
All right, so last year we had some big deliverables. What are the big deliverables for this year, apart from the usual work that we do?
Well, yeah, we did last year. So I'm a big fan of the big rocks principle. In other words, let's have 3 or 4 key things that we want to deliver in any one year on top of our normal business, which obviously need to be important enough and prioritised. And last year we had several, and a couple was user experience. Another one was revamping our audit platform. Those will both roll over into this year. The audit platform is being tested now, but the platform is just part of an auditing service that we're looking to provide, which has a number of components. A couple of the new ones, so those two will roll over, and the user experience stuff will focus largely on onboarding and making it easy to do business with us, and looking at our the learner experience as well as how we do our bookings and make it easier to invoice and all that stuff, just in terms of the day-to-day interaction. But the other couple of big ticket items that we're looking to do this year, one is the website. We need to change that, both from a technical perspective, where the supporting platform is quite old. It would cost us a lot of money just to update it to have pretty much what we've got. But it's about making our website a lot more intuitive and interactive. And really pushing the message of why we exist, not just on what we do. So that's going to be a big ticket item. And the other big ticket item that we've got this year, which hit us late last year, is the TEC funding for our construction safety certificate. So over the last couple of years, certainly last year, since we pulled out from Unitech, we've been carrying that out of the baseline, and we applied to TEC for funding for the program last year. We initially refused. We went back to them, covering off on the points they raised in refusing it, and they've done a reversal, and to the tune of over 3 years, roughly $1.3 million. So that's a huge opportunity for us that we need to realise. The business runs on 2 engines. It runs on its economic engine, in other words, the money we get through the door from training, but also we appropriate resources and when I say resources, I'm talking about funding like the funding we got from brands to do particular things, and the funding from TEC, which is a significant chunk of money. And to keep those resources coming in, we need to make sure that we're given value back on that return of investment. So one of the things we're looking at doing this year around the TEC funding is how we spend that within the business on stuff that add value to both the certificate program, but I think there's also a real opportunity to add value to some of our high-level courses and some of the materials on the courses, video technology and other stuff, and also how we make the industry a bit more attractive, because TEC obviously are funded on vocational, getting more people in the industry, making it an attractive industry, and our response to them was that safety plays a big part in that, and when people are considering should they go into construction, how safe an industry is it. So I think there's a real opportunity for us there to spend that money wisely, and that's going to be something that we're going to consider in next year. So at the end of year one of that funding, we can go back to TEC and say, this is the impact we've made and this is how we've spent your money that you've given us.
What do you reckon the money will go towards? They've got plans for it at the moment?
Yeah, well, one of the things we've looked at is obviously last year, as I say, we lost $300,000 of Unitec funding when Unitec were downgraded by the Polytech system. That was out of our hands. The funding got pulled by the government. So one of the things, first thing we've done is we've looked at what does it actually cost us to run the program as it stands in terms of time in the business. So once we've done that, we can some of the funding will go towards that, which is just the machinery of keeping the program running. And then the additional funding, whatever that is, and it'll be substantial still, we can look at targeting towards a number of things. We could look at scholarships, for instance, and I don't want to, these aren't locked in stone because we're going to have discussion. We could look at sponsoring some groups into the certificate program. TEC have a strong focus on Maori and Pacific workers. There's also women in construction that we could focus on making the certificate more attractive for them to build up leadership in those areas. As I said, there's an ability to use some of that money to actually enhance some of the courses that sit within the program. We know that English as a second language is an issue for a lot of people, so more video content with it where appropriate within some of the programs could be really good, and just working on stuff like that in terms of how we utilise that, because at the end of the day we're going to be audited, and TEC are going to come back to us and say, we've given you this money, how have you used it? And I want to make damn sure that we're telling them a good story. And why is that important? It's important because not only for them to continue funding us because they see value, but also once again it's really big for our brand. If we can seem to be a trusted partner to government, we can go out to other government departments like ACC and other areas and say, look, we were trusted with public monies in a reasonably substantial amount. This is the positive impact we've made with it. Can we have some more, please?
The evening of celebration was pretty good this year. Some very good award winners. What were some of the highlights from the SiteSafe Awards for you?
Look, the evening celebration is a really big event for us, and I know the comms and marketing team particularly, along with the committee, bear the brunt of organising all that, and it does a big job, and it run like a well-oiled Swiss watch this year, which was great. I think the big thing for me was the change in dynamic in the room. We had 500 people in the room, and it was buzzing all night. And the two mental health awards that we brought in, the two new awards, was fantastic, and it really showed that to me that mental health is a real live topic and within the industry, and it's not something that we can ignore, because I've never been to an awards where the award winners got a standing ovation by the audience. I mean, that was just stuff that made the hair on the back of your neck sort of stand on end. I think it was a couple of two really good speakers. I mean, Hillary did a really good job in emceeing it, and obviously having Mike King along, he's pretty special in terms of his dynamic of comedy and blend of seriousness, and hopefully he can stay upright on his motorbike to continue his march through the mental health ranks. But I think the other thing is that I think it was a bit of a reflection on how the industry saw us about becoming more relevant about our value proposition. And I'll tell you something which I haven't mentioned. I had a senior manager come to me after the awards and actually say to me, I came along tonight wondering how long I'd have to stay before I could go, because I didn't see the relevance of SiteSafe to my business. But after tonight, you guys are hugely relevant, and you have my full support. So that was fantastic feedback from someone who didn't have to give it, and who got turned his view around purely on the night of evening celebration, from the response of industry and seeing actually how we do support industry rather than just doing training.
Okay, and any final thoughts?
Final thoughts, it's going to be a big year. It's going to be a big year. I've called it a year of delivery. We delivered on a lot of stuff last year, and we're going to deliver on more this year. To do that, we needed to fill some key positions. One is a business development manager. We've had a bit of a reshuffle, and Adam Still has come on board as the business development manager, also leading the comms and marketing team. I think it's going to be great. And the other key position, which we haven't had before, is projects manager. So we're bringing someone on board to help us manage our projects, coordinate them, make sure they're phased properly, that they're hitting the key dates. It's probably something we've been guilty of in the past, letting stuff drift on, and we're not going to let that happen. So I think that'll be a real bonus to the organisation. And I'm really looking forward to this year. I think it's going to be a year of challenges, as last year was, both within the industry and also in terms of our relationships with some other agencies. But I think we started the year off well, and we're going to be looking to strengthen relationships. I'd be really keen to see us moving more into the civil sector, building trust in those areas, and I think redevelopment of our passports, or foundational training courses, probably better termed, is a key to unlock that door. The new website build is going to be huge, and we've been looking at really hard at it from a customer value perspective. So there's going to be a bit of work to do there, obviously, to make sure that hits the mark. And I think it's going to be an exciting year, and I just encourage everyone to get on board for the ride.